What up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith. Welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. Today is Friday. On Fridays, I love to recap for you all of the things that I've read, what I'm still reading, and what I plan to read next. Now, as far as what I have read, the one book that I have completed this week, I can't tell you anything about. It is a beta read that I did for an author. I loved it. I've read everything this author has written. I've loved everything that they've written. This is my favorite. The progression and the writing style and just the crafting of the story was amazing. As usual, it was a page turner. I read it in 2 sittings. It would have been 1, but that didn't quite work out, and you can find out why in a vlog that's going up on the channel next week. One thing I forgot to mention on the TBR this month is One Piece. Una and I are buddy reading the Dressrosa arc of One Piece. It recently came out in the box set. I believe it is volumes 71 through 92. And as of today, we have read through volume 76. First, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this arc. The last arc, the one on Fish Island, was probably my least favorite arc of the series so far. And coming off of that one, I wasn't sure what the author was going to do. It started off a little bit weak storyline-wise for me. I loved seeing the characters again, just being themselves, being the characters I fell in love with in volume 1. Just being with those familiar, lovable characters has just been such a good, warm, fuzzy feeling for me. I am 100% hooked in the story now. It has gotten really good. It still doesn't top my 2 favorite arcs, but I have a feeling it is going to cement itself in 3rd place unless something crazy happens. We'll see. There's still several more volumes to go. So let's see. So short stories I read in the last week. I read Water by Stuart Sims, which is in the Elementals collection of his. It's 4 stories about mental health. Water is my favorite so far, and when I posted about it on Instagram, the author actually saw the post and told me he was writing a full-length novel on that character. I love the story, so I was very excited to hear about that, and I'm just fascinated with his storytelling around these elemental powers that these folks have. Just absolutely love this one. I guess because there was a lot of horror in this one due to the water elemental basically being undead in a way. It's so good. It's so good. If you have the Kindle Unlimited subscription, I believe this book is included. I know I personally purchased it, but I want to say I saw that it was part of Kindle Unlimited. So the next one is Rickman's Plasma by William Michael. This one was actually audio format. It was read by someone and then uploaded onto YouTube. It was so fun. It was so fun. My friend that listened to it, that recommended it to me, when I got done, I messaged her. I was like, well, I can't tell you what I said because it will be a spoiler for the story, but just a really fun listen. I will link it in the description box down below if you have a few minutes and you want to listen to that instead of another booktube video. Not this one. Don't skip this one. I need you to listen to this one. For my Stephen King short story of the week, I read One for the Road and I loved it. Loved it. I didn't know we were going to get another story back in Jerusalem's Lot, and I think that one might be my favorite. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I have adored both short stories concerning Jerusalem's Lot, and it makes me want to read Salem's Lot again so bad. Oh, so bad. I just absolutely love that story. I love the dread and the fear and the way that King keeps that story alive. It's just, chef's kiss. I also started on the collection of essays by Zora Neale Hurston, You Don't Know Us Negroes. I read the first 2, which were Bits of Our Harlem, and the second one was Hi John to Conquer. Bits of Our Harlem is a little short essay just where she highlights some different things about the people of Harlem during the Harlem Renaissance and just the energy of the people. It was just a really fun read. I was smiling the whole time that I read it. I just really appreciated the way she was able to write the exuberance of these folks. It was just wonderful. But I mean, I honestly feel like I am never not going to love something that Zora writes. The second one is about Hi John to Conquer, who is a I wouldn't say a person, he was an idea. The purpose of Hi John to Conquer is when the slaves were taken, you know, he walked across the water, giving them hope and always bringing them laughter. all of his stories always ended with a laugh. And Zora, I feel, wrote this essay. It was back in 1943. It was like she was sharing the source of their soul and their laughter with the hope that High John to Conquer always brought. Just fascinating. And then I also read the first 2 stories in the Blackest Spells collection that was edited by C.T. Phipps. These 2 I read for the February Fantasy Stories event. This week is Dark Fantasy, and these 2 stories fall under that subgenre. So the first one is The Apprentice by C.H. Baum. I loved it. Guys, I want to tell you, I've never read any fantasy short stories. I wasn't sure what I was going to think about it. I'm used to reading tomes, like big chunkers and 10 to 14 book long series. So I was very curious how it was going to work out with a short story. Absolutely loved it. Just loved it. This one was about a young man who was born into a poor family, sold to a summoner because the summoner discovered the little boy had a spark in him that he could summon demons. So he begins training him, and he just beats the tar out of this kid. The beatings gave this kid motivation to learn, to get better, because the problem was his intonation, his pronouncing of the words were not coming out right. He was thinking he was saying light, and instead it might be something like blight. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it there with that. It was a fun story, loved it. The next one in the collection was actually written by the guy who edited C.T. Phipps, and it was called Twinkle Twinkle. Oh my gosh. Now this one took place in space. It had a lot of sci-fi elements in there that made it extra fun. Gave me Firefly vibes. I just loved the smart-ass captain and his crew. But this one, guys, had a fire dragon cosmozoan. Like, it was big enough that it was eating a sun that belonged to a planet. Like, can you imagine how big that was? And so this captain and his crew, they're pirates, they're bringing stuff to the planet whose sun's getting eaten, and they're like, hey, a little help here? And the guy's like, what do you expect me to do against that? And I'm not going to tell you what they do or what they don't do. I would just highly recommend, if you love dark fantasy or grimdark. So far, what I've read of this collection, it delivers. I'll let you know as I keep making my way through, but I think this is going to be one that I'm going to highly recommend in the future. And then, of course, we cannot forget the final piece of short fiction, which is from A Mini Tale, which you can read for free at aminitale.com. Jacob John White writes weekly episodes in this cosmic serial fantasy of Opaline, the Mouseling. I read episode 6, Meeting of the Gods, which is part 3 of a little 4-parter, and today I met some elder gods, and very interesting. I've only just seen them. I don't know what's about to happen, but they are definitely the ones who snatched Peridot, the little cursed dragon. There was a mention, there's about 30 characters that are cursed with Peridot, that they blip around from world to world, in the future, in the past, just all over. It's been a very interesting adventure so far. I'm just absolutely loving the creativity of the worlds, the world building, the characters that we're meeting, and a joy to read. Also, while I'm talking about A Mini Tale, they're having a competition. So with each week's episode, a piece of art that is inspired by whatever particular story it's accompanying. So I've got the graphic here. I will have all the information down below of how to enter. I'll also be sharing the graphic on all my social media. So all of my artist friends out there watching, you know, here's an opportunity to score a little cash and some great prizes. Now, as far as books that I am still currently reading, I am still making my way through Waking Ursa Minor. I will finish this one tonight. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. I say that and then probably calamity will ensue and I don't get to read it all. The horror. But this book is my favorite read of the month so far. Whenever I read a new author, I go in with zero expectations. I am not prepared to be anything. I'm not prepared to be disappointed. You know, I'm not prepared to be overwhelmed. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, let's see what's happening. But still, I'm so surprised when I read one that just really knocks my socks off. One of my friends, Amanda from the Reading and Writing Life, she finished it last night. She gave it 5 stars and I am just like, oh, it's so good. I am loving the characters. I am loving the world building, the different types of people that live in the different areas that we're adventuring through. I love the magic. We have this brutal order of monks and just a mission of this other person. It's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm going to try my best to get that finished today. I'll get a written review up because it's coming out on the 22nd, so next week. If you like epic fantasy, I think you're gonna like this book. If you liked A Mask of Mirrors, I think you'll love this book. And then the only other thing that I am reading is Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot. Part 1 of this book was amazing. The characters were dynamic, they were hilarious, the conversations were chaotic, sucked me in. Full of action, hilarity, just loved it. Part 2 lost me. So bored. Absolutely bored to tears. There was nothing compelling about part 2. The conversations were dull and whiny and just got on my nerves. At this point, I am putting it down. I am definitely not going to be picking it up for several days at least, if not a week or two. It's the same problem I always seem to have with Dostoevsky. He just starts off on fire and then he begins info dumping and just posturing with his characters, having these conversations that are just so long-winded, totally having these characters discuss morality. They're just so over dramatic about it. I don't understand what the need for the discussion is, but I think that's just how he wrote and what he was writing about maybe for the times. As a reader reading for pure enjoyment, I don't know that you would enjoy this book. Part 1, sure. But then part 2, in my opinion, it shifts into people who love literary analysis, who enjoys looking for the symbolism in things, who are constantly looking for connections to other things such as morality and God and man and all of that. Like, I am not that person. I need enjoyment. Dropping information on a page and it's not done in an entertaining way, you're gonna lose me every time. And I just realized I was hate reading this. I did finish part 2 and I got to part 3 and I was like, I don't even care. Like, this is how much I don't care. A lot of you know I keep notes when I read a book. I write a note after every chapter so that I am able to keep up with it. You know, if there was a second book in the series, I can go back and I've got a map of everything that happened. Then we get to part 2 and this is what happened. I just did not care, and I did message my friend Una and I was like, okay, I need the truth. Is the rest of this book like part 2? Because if it is, I'm not gonna bother. Like, I hated part 2. Hated it. Now, some of the other people in the read-along, they didn't hate it. They thought it was a little boring, a bit of a slog, but there were still some things they found exciting about it. There were a couple of things that were exciting, sure, but they just got pooped on by the info dumping that the author would revert back to. This will be my last Dostoevsky. I have determined he is not an author for me. So that takes care of everything I read and what I'm still reading. What am I gonna read next? Well, I'm gonna finish Waking Ursa Minor tonight. Then I will be going straight into Nana by Mark Towse. That one I believe is a novella. I should knock it out fairly quickly. And then that leaves my patron pick of the month to end the month on with Basil Brooktail. Another one I'm excited for. Guys, that is gonna do it here for me today. I hope you all had a great week of reading. I hope you got a book or two for Valentine's Day from your significant other. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, a wonderful weekend. I hope you're able to sneak some good reading time in. Guys, thank you so much for being here today. I love you, and I'll catch you in the next one.